Hey, the more I work with my clients as a financial and retirement planner, the more it becomes the more I realize that people don't fully understand what their retirement plan is, what it does, and how it affects their overall retirement future. So, today, guys, in this video, I want to share with you how, right, how your 401k works, help you have a better understanding of it, how it works, and how it can affect your retirement future. So, that's what we're going to discuss today in this presentation. So, who is this presentation for? This is for anyone who is currently participating in their company's 401k plan. If you've been thinking about participating in your company's 401k plan and you're just not sure how it all works and what it's all about, or if you're not currently participating because you were confused about what it does and how it can potentially help you or affect you in your retirement savings, well, this is for you. So you definitely want to tune in and pay attention. So if this is your first time seeing me, my name is Alex. I'm a retirement and financial planner, and I help people just like you prepare for retirement, help you protect yourself and protect your family during your working years, and help you get to a place of building wealth so you're able to live comfortably in retirement. So that's my goal. That's my mission, to help as many people as possible do that. And again, this presentation today is understanding your retirement plan and how it affects your future. So these are some things that your human resource department should tell you, but don't tell you, and how this all can work out in your favor. So, according to studies, 63% of all Americans don't fully understand what their retirement plan or retirement accounts are all about, according to Fidelity. Why does this happen? One, it happens obviously because many times these conversations aren't happening at home with our parents. They don't teach us these things in high school or college. And once we finally start working, human resources and human resource departments don't feel it's their responsibility to teach us what it is we should know about our finances. And so essentially all they do is just take, a piece of paper, and they ask you, hey, do you want to participate in our company's 401k plan? And you say yes or no. If you decide to, they say, okay, here, take this, sign, date, check out where you want your money to go, and they're done, right? That's typically how it works. Am I right? And so they don't feel it's their responsibility to help you figure out what choices you should be making, what the plan is all about, what it does, what are some of the drawbacks. So today I'm going to share those things with you today. So those people who are participating in a 401k plan, they often feel like, hey, you know what? I'm participating, I'm contributing, so I'm good, right? And the truth is, most people, once they get to their retirement years, don't actually have enough money saved up for retirement. And so we want to be able to help make sure that doesn't happen to you. So what is a retirement plan? So basically, a retirement plan is simply your roadmap to having income when your paycheck stops. When you stop working or stop doing whatever it is that you're doing for a living, you want to make sure there is a retirement plan in place that says you're going to have income that continues to come in once your paycheck stops. Now, let me say that at first, companies were providing what's called pension plans whereby if you continue to work for a particular company, you do a great job, you stay on with the company, after 40 years or so, they would take care of you, they would give you a pension, and you will be able to live your golden years in retirement on the pension money that they provide, plus Social Security. Okay. So when Social Security was originally established, it was only established to cover about 40% of your working income. And the other portion would come from a pension. Well, companies figured out in the late 70s that, you know what, there may be a better way for us to save money. That's when the 401k was introduced. And the 401k became the main way people started saving for retirement. Okay. So we're talking about 401ks, 403bs, 457 TSPs, SEP IRAs, simple IRAs. Basically, these are all employer sponsored retirement plans. That's all that means. Okay. And so your 401k plan is a plan that is offered by companies, public or private companies, for to help their employees prepare for retirement. So that's what 401ks are for. By the way, 401k is not a particular plan. It is an IRS code. It is an IRS code. So 401k of the Internal Revenue Service code says the monies that are invested or put into this plan are to be treated in a certain way. And the 401k line, or the 401k expressly says this is how the money is to be treated. I'm going to explain that to you. So 403b plans, retirement plans, are offered by usually non-profit organizations and institutions. Okay. Your 457 are retirement plans that's usually offered by governmental or state plans, state organizations. Okay. And then your TSP, or your thrift savings plan, is usually what's offered by the federal government. Now, your SEP IRA and your simple IRA are usually, your SEP IRA is called Simplified Employee Plan. Okay, that's what that stands for. And that's usually offered by a small company, a small private company, or it is a way for self-employed people to actually save for their own retirement. Okay, or people who work with them as well. And then, of course, the simple IRA plan. Now, like I said before, these are all employer-sponsored retirement plans. Now, how does that work? So it essentially says when you contribute money from your check to a retirement plan, it goes into the retirement plan untaxed, pre-taxed, untaxed. Okay? Now, your particular employer plan, it might actually, you may not have to contribute money in order for them or the employer to contribute money on your behalf. It simply depends. Each company is a little bit different. So you have to kind of know the ins and outs of your particular company. But essentially, contributions, whether they be contributions that you make or your employer makes, those contributions go into the retirement plan, pre-tax or untaxed. Now, if your company, the company that you work for, if they have a 401k plan or a 403b plan or whatever, if they match contributions, that simply means when you contribute money to your retirement plan, to the retirement plan, your employer will match or may match a portion of what you put in up to a certain amount. Again, each company is different as to whether or not they match, how much they match, and up to what limit. So each company is a little bit different, okay? But matching contributions, that's what that means. All of the money that's put in, whether it comes from you or comes from your employer, all of those dollars go in pre-tax or untaxed. That's very important. You'll see why in a moment. Now, again, this is not to be construed as investment advice. This is educational information for you only. All right. So I'm going to say consult or work with a retirement specialist or a financial planner, someone like me, to get more information about your particular situation. So if your company does not match the contributions you make, I would say you should consider other investment options for your retirement funds. Okay. So how does this work in terms of investing? How does it work? So in the retirement plan that's offered by your employer, you can choose between a limited number of investment options that are provided within the plan. Those options might be company stocks. They could be regular stocks or stocks in general from the stock market. They could be bonds. It could be mutual funds. It could be ETFs or what's called electronically traded funds. Or it could be stocks that are domestic, meaning U.S. stocks, or it could be stocks, international stocks, stocks outside of the U.S. It could be any number of things, okay? So those are generally the options that you typically see in an employer-sponsored retirement plan. Now, next, how do you decide what and where you should put your money? So let me back up and say, first of all, when you put money in a 401k plan or 401k bucket or 403b bucket, the money goes into the bucket, but you still have to make a decision as to where the money is invested. It is not invested until you make those decisions. Okay. So let me be very clear about that. All right. And again, these are usually the choices that you have inside of a company sponsored retirement plan. So how do you decide what you should put your money in? So here are some basic ways. You should think about what your risk tolerance is. How comfortable do you feel with the possibility of losing money? That's essentially what that means, your risk tolerance. You want to look at or consider how much time you have remaining until you retire. This is called your time horizon. It's important because you want to make sure that you are not being too conservative or too aggressive, considering how much time or how soon you will need those retirement funds, okay? And that obviously changes over time. If you're someone who is young and who's just getting started, you can potentially be a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more assertive. Why? Because you can potentially get more growth. And in the case where the market starts to adjust or where you start to lose money, you have more time to make up the losses. But as you start to get older and you start getting closer to retirement, you certainly want to start scaling back how aggressive or how assertive you are, because again, if and when the market starts to shift and change and you begin to lose money, you don't have the same amount of time to make up the difference. All right. So your time horizon makes a difference. Of course, you want to be able to look at the risk associated with the particular investment. You want to look at your overall retirement or investment portfolio to see how and where your your assets overall, how they are allocated. You want to make sure that you are not too heavily allocated in one particular area. You want to be diverse. Okay, so diversity helps to spread out the amount of risk. So, say for instance, if all of your money is sitting in real estate, for instance, and the real estate market goes boom, guess what? That's going to heavily affect your portfolio. But if you have some of your money in real estate, if you have some of your money in stocks, if you have some of your money in bonds, if you have some of your money in, say, gold, for instance, now if there's a loss in the real estate market, it won't have as big of an impact in your overall investment portfolio. All right. You want to be able to look at growth potential, and there are other considerations that you might want to consider as well. All right. So let's take a look at withdrawal considerations. How can you pull your money out if you happen to want it or you need it? Okay. So withdrawal considerations as it relates to your company 401k or company sponsored plan simply means these plans or these funds are meant for your retirement. Okay. So the whole idea is they penalize you for taking money out sooner, because the whole idea behind the monies that you're setting aside in this plan is meant for your retirement. So it becomes a little bit of a disincentive for you to take out money. The whole idea is to try to make you keep your money in. So if you wind up withdrawing money from your 401k, your 403b, your 457, or your TSP, whatever it's called, if you take money out prior to you being 59 and a half, it will result in you having to pay a 10% penalty on the monies that you are taking out. All right. So that's the 10% penalty that you have to pay. In addition to that, if you take money out, you will also have to pay the taxes due on it. If you remember at the very beginning, I said monies that you contribute to these funds go in before taxes, go in pre-taxed or untaxed. So the money goes into the fund anytime it grows and you are ready to withdraw. You have to pay taxes on the money that comes out. Now, there are some particular situations that allow you to take money out of the fund, and you don't necessarily have to pay penalties, 10% penalty on that, which could be like buying your first home, for instance, or it might be expenses associated with having or adopting a child, for instance. So there are some ways that you can get access to those funds for particular reasons that will preclude you from having to pay the 10% penalty. But you still have to pay the tax on the money that you are taking out if you are younger than 59 and a half. Okay. Now, once you reach 59 and a half, you become 59 and a half or older, you are now no longer subject to having to pay the 10% penalty if you take money out after you are 59 and a half. However, you still have to pay taxes because none of the money that's sitting in the account has been taxed up until this point. All right, let's continue. So what are some of the pros associated with putting your money into an employer-sponsored retirement plan? Number one, your company, if they match, they could potentially match your dollars. Okay. So let's say, for instance, they say, hey, Alex, we will match 3% of whatever you put in. So when you put in 3% of what you earn, they will in this example, put in 3% more, making it 6%. All right. So you just doubled your money. So for those people who are considering, haven't started investing in the retirement plan as of yet, if you haven't, you are missing out because you are now not taking advantage of doubling your money. Whatever you put in, if they match, that means you are going to get 100% or 50% or whatever. You're going to get some money on top of whatever you put into it. So you don't want to lose money or leave money on the table by not participating in your company's 401k money. That's free money. That's free money there. So you want to take advantage of that. Okay. So what are some other pros? The money goes in untaxed, tax deferred. So that means you get a tax break right now when you contribute to your company's retirement plan. What else? It helps to simplify some of your investment options without you having to consider the entire investment world, without you having to consider the entire asset classes. You are now able to have a limited number or a simplified number of investment options, thereby making your choices a little bit more simple. And then finally, it makes the process a little bit easier because now you're not having to research or understand a whole lot of assets. You only now have to understand what and where you're putting your money inside the company sponsored plan. So let's look at some of the cons. So here are some of the cons. Some of the cons are, first of all, fees associated with the company retirement plan. Yes, there are fees. This is not free. Okay. There is an investment company that is taking these funds and they are actually managing these funds on behalf of your employer. And because you are participating inside this plan, guess what? They are essentially passing on those fees to you because they are managing your money. What do those fees look like? Here you go. Fees galore. I got tons of them. Expense ratio fees, 12B1 fees, front end fees, back end fees, record keeping fees, custodial fees, third party administrative fees, legal, audit, compliance, fees. Anywhere they can potentially make some money, they're looking to make some money. Okay, these are your Fidelities, your Charles Schwab's, your BlackRocks, your TD Ameritrade, TIAA, CREF, all of these companies, they're trying to make money. So they charge you and your company's fees. What does this mean for you? In this example, for instance, if you were blessed and fortunate and disciplined enough to be able to save $500,000 over a 30-year period, over your 30 years of working, if your company or your 401k administrator, if they charge just 1% in annual fees, that could nearly cost you $187,000 in this example, right? In just fees. So instead of you having $534,000, you could have had as much as $711,000, but you had to pay these fees. So that's a con. All right. What else? Limited access. You have limited access to your money. So again, if you decided to take out some of your money before you reach 59 and a half, guess what? You have to pay a 10% penalty. You have to pay taxes on the monies that you withdraw, right? You can take out loans in some instances, but guess what? Those loans must be repaid in no more than 5 years. Or if you are let go, or if your company or you decide to move on to another company, that loan has to be repaid. All right. What else we got? We got taxes. Got taxes. So going back to that example, if you had $574,000 over a 30-year period, up to 160,000 of that would be due to the federal government in terms of taxes, assuming in this case you were in the 24% tax bracket. All right. Of course, you still have to pay, potentially, depending on where you live, you would still have to pay state taxes as well. All right. And this, listen, this is a biggie, guys. What they don't tell you is that typically your Social Security benefits are not taxable. Okay. However, the moment you start receiving too much income that comes in the form of you working or pulling money out from a 401k, from an IRA, 403b, any of these tax deferred accounts, it could potentially make your Social Security become taxable as well. And they don't tell you that. There's a certain amount, there's a certain limit. Once you go over that limit in terms of the money that you receive from your 401k, your IRA, or from wherever, it could potentially make your Social Security taxable. And they don't tell you that. What else? Cons, market risk. Market risk. What do I mean when I say market risk? Market risk simply means this is the risk of you losing money in the stock market or the bond market or whatever market you're in. So that means that your entire account balance is subject to the gains and the potential loss in the stock or the bond market. All right. And as I said before, I think I said it earlier, the stock market loses money on average every 3 to 4 years, which means now your entire account balance could or would be at loss as well. All right. So that's what market risk is all about. The reason why this is important for you to consider is you want to make sure that, again, you are not in a position where if the market tanks, that you are in potential of losing so much money that it affects your retirement future. For instance, if you are 57 or older and you are potentially looking to retire in the next 5 to 7 years, it may be time for you to start to reconsider how assertive or how aggressive or how much money you are leaving inside your 401k or in your stock market accounts. Again, the reason being is because all of the money that's sitting in your retirement plan, all of the money that's sitting in your brokerage accounts or your individual stock accounts, those accounts are subject to being lost. And if you are retiring in the next 5 to 7 years, you may not have as much time to make up the difference. So that's the reason why, particularly if you are 57 and older, you certainly want to start thinking about what you should be doing with the money you have acquired up until this point. What else we got? Longevity risk. So we got fees, limited access, taxes, market risk that we just talked about, but we also have longevity risk. What is that? Longevity risk is the risk of you running out of money or living longer than your money. So what does that look like? 45% of all retirees, 45% are concerned about outliving their savings. 45%. 40% of retirees actually do run out of money. So they are now at a point where they only have Social Security or other funds, but they don't have the retirement money that they set aside. They don't have it anymore. So at this point, they only have whatever sources they have left. Typically, it is Social Security. 20% of Americans age 75 and older rely almost entirely on Social Security. And then finally, a third or 33% of retirees have no retirement savings left within 20 years of retirement. So longevity risk or living too long is a risk, and it is a serious concern and one that you should really think about. But there actually may be a better way for you to prepare for retirement. There's a better approach that helps you to reduce fees, that helps you get access to your money without having to pay penalties and taxes. There are ways that you can grow your money without, again, having to pay taxes. There are ways that you can grow your money without the risk of ever losing a dime. You can get retirement income that never runs out. So that takes longevity risk completely off the table. There are ways that you can actually get income, the income that you need, and it doesn't make your Social Security taxable. There are also ways that you can protect yourself if you happen to get sick, hurt, or unable to work. And there are ways that you can protect your family if, God forbid, you happen to pass away. If you would like to learn more about some strategies to help you actually do these things, I encourage you to schedule a private one-on-one consultation with me, and we can look at your particular situation and explore the options that you have available. And let me tell you, if you go to calendly.com/Alex Allure right here, you'll be able to schedule that appointment, and we'll be able to sit down and discuss. We'll be able to, first of all, take a look at where you are right now. We'll get a clear understanding of where you are in your financial future, your financial picture. Next, we'll talk about what your financial goals are. What is it that you want to accomplish and the things that you want to do? What do you want your life to look like once you start to wind down, once you start considering making a career change or potentially retiring altogether? So we want to be able to help you look at that. And we'll be able to sit down and look at all of the different strategies and the different tools we have at our disposal to help make sure that you're able to reduce the amount of taxes that you pay, reduce the amount of penalties that you pay, reduce the amount of risk associated with your retirement accounts, and we make sure that your money is able to last throughout your retirement years. In addition to that, we make sure that in some cases that if something happens to you and you happen to get sick or hurt or chronically ill or injured on your way to retirement, there's a way that we can help you get protection as well. So there's so many different options. There's so many different ways of looking at this, depending on where you are now and where you would like to be in the future. And I would love to help you look and explore those options. If you go to calendly.com/Alex Allure, or if you go into my inbox, schedule an appointment or inbox me, I would love to help you through this process. All right. So, at this point, guys, like I said before, your retirement years are your working years are extremely important, but then also your retirement years are important as well. And so I want to just be able to help you do it in a way that's comfortable for you, in a way that helps you have some clarity and help you have confidence that the plan that you have built and everything that you're doing along the way is helping to get you to where you want to be. And that's what I want to do to help you do that. So let me put in the link, my link, in the comment section, so you will have it. All right. There we have it. So there you have it, guys. So listen, this doesn't have to be something that's difficult. Human resource should be telling you these things, but hey, that's why I'm here, and that's why I make it my mission to help as many people as possible be able to do this in the smartest way possible that helps them to live the life that they truly want to live. All right. So that's my mission, and that's what I'm here for. All right. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.